Narwhals look like they were designed by a bored god with a weird sense of humor. He created these Arctic whales with massive 10-foot spiraling tusks jutting straight out of their heads like some kind of underwater unicorn horn. For centuries, people assumed this massive javelin on their heads had to serve some grand purpose. Maybe a built-in harpoon to fight off orcas, or to stab dinner out of the ice. But for all its flash and grandeur, the truth is, no one ever regularly sees a narwhal using it for hunting, or fighting, or really anything that obvious. So why evolve something like this ridiculous? If this iconic tusk isn't used as a weapon or a tool, what actually is its purpose? Is it just a flex? And if the tusk is just for show, what does that say about how evolution really works in the coldest environment on our planet? Other animals with tusks, like elephants, walruses, and warthogs, have teeth that grow out and curve. In fact, that's what a tusk is: an overgrown tooth, usually used for digging, fighting, or defense. The narwhal's tooth has the same idea, but different execution. Its tusk is actually a single tooth that grows straight out of the upper lip, twisting with a spiral and stretching over 2.5 meters long. Unlike other tusks, it doesn't curl or taper. Instead, it's unusually flexible, able to bend nearly a foot in any direction without snapping. For centuries, hunters from the Arctic passed off these overgrown narwhal teeth as unicorn horns and sold them for fortunes, sometimes 10 times their weight in gold. A single tusk weighing 10 pounds could be worth what today would amount to over $3.6 million. People believed that the horn had magical properties and could purify water, cure diseases, and neutralize poison. Obviously, it was all a ruse, but regardless, a profitable business. Narwhals live in the icy Arctic waters around Canada, Greenland, Norway, and Russia. But with hunters, polar bears, and the unforgiving ice, life isn't the easiest for them. As mammals, they need to breathe air. But this area is so cold that over 97% of this region's surface can freeze over in winter. And no, that 2.5 meter tusk is no help when it comes to punching through ice like a walrus. It's not rock solid or sharp. Instead, they rely on small breathing holes to survive. The 3% of the water that stays open during winter isn't completely safe either. When temperatures drop suddenly, these holes can seal up overnight. Unlike other whales, narwhals don't migrate south for the season. That decision can be fatal. Fast-moving ice can lead to something scientists call entrapment. It's exactly as grim as it sounds. Narwhals get boxed in by ice and crowd around the few remaining gaps, gasping for air. Between 2008 and 2010, at least 4 mass entrapments were documented. In one of them, more than 600 narwhals were trapped in northern Canada. Many didn't survive, and the ones that did had to squeeze into tight spaces, fight for oxygen, and hope a hungry polar bear wasn't nearby to take them down. In other words, predicting ice formation is kind of a big deal for narwhals. But this is where some experts think their tusks may or may not come into play. Despite its unicorny appearance, this tooth is alive, packed with blood vessels, filled with nerve endings, and sensitive in the worst way. Imagine biting into a popsicle with no enamel on your teeth. Now, imagine doing that all day in 2 degrees Celsius Arctic water. Unlike most mammalian teeth, the narwhal tusk isn't covered in enamel and instead has a porous spongy tissue called cementum, and underneath that, a layer of dentin full of microscopic tunnels, dentin tubules. And yes, they're wide open to the icy sea. But why would an animal leave a fully nerve-sensitive organ exposed to freezing Arctic water? unless it actually served a purpose. That's exactly what scientists wondered, and it has led to the first major theory about the narwhal's tusk. Scientists hypothesized that narwhal tusks may detect changes in salinity, the saltiness of the surrounding water. In the Arctic, when sea ice forms, it traps fresh water and leaves salt behind, causing the nearby water to become noticeably saltier. A sudden spike in salinity could signal that new ice is forming and it's time to move. You might be thinking, sure, but how can a tooth sense salt? Well, this isn't just any tooth. As I said before, narwhal tusks are fully innervated, meaning they're packed with nerves that connect directly to the brain. The outer layers are lined with microscopic channels that let the outside world interact with the nerves inside. So when the water gets saltier, the tooth might literally feel it, a super rare ability in the animal kingdom. No other animal on the planet, including humans, has a tooth like this. Our nerves stop well before the outer surface and can't sense anything outside. This unique setup might actually help narwhals survive their harsh Arctic home by giving them a kind of underwater sensory antenna. Researchers tested this by capturing 6 male narwhals and fitted their tusks with a custom-made tooth jacket filled with different water samples. When exposed to salt water, the narwhals' heart rates spiked. With fresh water, their heart rates dropped. It's not exactly Morse code, but it strongly suggests the tusk can detect salinity and that narwhals are responding to it. Being able to sense salt might help narwhals navigate through dangerous ice fields, giving them a better chance of finding open water before they get trapped. And in a place where hundreds of lives can depend on one small hole in the ice, that edge could mean everything. Now, this hypothesis could have solved the mystery around this tusk. But not all narwhals even have tusks. Only males typically grow them, and even then, not all of them. And roughly 15% of females also grow a tusk. When they do, it's usually smaller, thinner, and less spiraled than the males. But in extremely rare cases, a male narwhal can actually grow 2 tusks, like some kind of Arctic double swordfish. This is very rare, estimated at about 1 in 500 males. That's where this theory hits a wall. If tusks were critical for detecting dangerous ice conditions, evolution would have made sure every narwhal had one by now. But it hasn't. Instead, it's given a few individuals a massive sensory antenna and told the rest of the pod, just follow Larry. He's got the tooth. Nah, I don't think that's how nature works. Some researchers think it's a shared survival strategy. A few tusk males in a pod could act as early warning systems, and the rest, male or female, just follow their lead. But that falls apart with all female pods. If no one in the group has a tusk, how are they detecting salinity changes? Or maybe tusks aren't the only tool in their survival kit, just one adaptation among many. Either way, it suggests the tusk isn't only for detecting ice. There's more to the story. And as I always say, if something in nature seems weird, it probably has to do with the animal mating. Male narwhals engage in a behavior known as tusking, where they cross and rub their tusks together. It's not an aggressive fight, more of a ritualized display, a way to size each other up without injury. We may want to compare the tusk to the antlers of a deer or the horns of a ram, classic symbols of strength shaped by sexual selection. But the picture here is more complicated. Remember how 15% of male narwhals never grow a tusk? Yet many of them still manage to reproduce. And the idea of females having tusks negates it being an exclusively male mating ornament. So far, researchers have also not found a strong link between tusk size and reproductive success. Unlike antlers or manes in other animals, Having a longer tusk doesn't seem to guarantee more mating opportunities, but one point strongly supports this theory. The tusk's famed sensitivity, the millions of nerve endings, may allow males to feel out rivals. This Arctic handshake might let males assess strength or stamina without the risk of a fight. In that sense, the tusk acts as a complex social tool, one we still don't fully understand. What we do understand is that narwhals are absurdly good at diving. We're talking 1,800 meters deep into a part of the ocean where pressure crushes most things flat. That's deeper than most military submarines, which typically max out around 300 to 600 meters. Even nuclear subs like the US Navy Seawolf class rarely go beyond 700. The narwhal dives triple that, with no metal hull or air tanks, just biology. They do this 15 to 25 times a day, and each dive can last a solid 25 minutes. They manage it thanks to a body optimized for endurance and stealth, collapsible rib cages to withstand pressure, thick blubber for insulation against icy water, and high concentrations of myoglobin in the bloodstream. This enables them to carry around 40 to 100 liters of oxygen in their lungs when diving. Down in those pitch-black depths, narwhals hunt squid and Greenland halibut. Which brings us to Theory 3. Does that unicorn horn double as a weapon? Can this 10 feet of spiraled ivory sound like a sword? In 2019, someone actually used one to stop a terrorist on London Bridge. The unlikely hero, a Polish chef named Lukas, grabbed a 5-foot narwhal tusk mounted on the wall of Fishmonger's Hall. Using it like a spear, he confronted the attacker alongside others, helping to subdue him until police arrived. If a bystander can wield the tusk as a weapon, surely the narwhal itself knows how to use its natural sword deep under the Arctic ice. So could this iconic tooth be a weapon or sensory probe used to catch prey? Every so often, cameras catch narwhals poking or prodding fish with their tusks, almost like they're trying to spear squid or Arctic cod before vacuuming them up. Narwhals feed by creating a powerful vacuum, retracting their tongue to suck their prey in whole, so a quick stun could be handy. But remember when I told you that narwhal's tusk is inside out? Its nerves sit on the outside layer of the tooth, which is a pretty good reason why these whales wouldn't exactly want to use it as a sword. Unlike typical teeth designed for biting or stabbing, this extremely sensitive tusk would make it painful and impractical as a weapon. Additionally, narwhals mostly hunt in pitch-black Arctic waters using echolocation, where stabbing prey would be difficult and unnecessary. Their typical prey, Greenland halibut, squid, and Arctic cod, are usually sucked in whole without the need for piercing. Still, the occasional footage of tusk jabbing keeps the hunting theory alive, but just barely. Some experts suggest the tusk may serve as a secondary tool, a sensory probe or a way to nudge prey, rather than a full-on primary weapon. So is this giant tooth a magical sensor, a fancy mating gadget, or an Arctic spear? Truth is, we still don't have a clear answer. Maybe it's all of those things rolled into one. Or maybe it's none of these, and we haven't discovered the real use yet. Research is still ongoing, but nothing's definitive. For now, as advanced as our top marine scientists are, the narwhal's tusk still remains elusive, but looks really cool. But hey, if a Polish chef can use one to stop an attack, I can almost guarantee that this tusk has a few more tricks up its sleeve.